have, there is celebrate for those Africans who are not in Africa and they are outside there, like in the United States, in Europe, because I happened to interrogate with one of them in the United States. And one said that, I really don't know my origin. I thought that maybe he was from Uganda, Kenya, or somewhere else, but he said that no, it's a long time. So we are we are Americans, we don't know our origin. So I felt bad because they are Africans, but they really don't know their area.
And the question is?
They just know that they are from a continent, Africa, but they don't know exactly. So my question is that, why don't we have even a single day for celebrating for those Africans who are outside Africa as a continent? Thank you for God, for my God and the continent Africa.
Thank you very much for your question. I am going to beg your indulgence. I'd like one of the students at the back to ask one question, and then we'll close the questions. Right there.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Kalukos Amos Ronald, and I'm from Mukumba University. I will advise, but at the same time I will ask, how can regional integration of Africa happen when the following aspects are not met? Number one, we have not yet eliminated trade barriers. Number two, we still continue to have applications for visa to travel from one country in Africa to another. Number three, we don't even have not thought of having a uniform passport. Recently, we had the Parliament has been debating about having the East African passport, but today we are looking at it in a broader perspective. So how do we then think of having an East African passport and then have an African passport? Why don't we think of having one? Then number four, why can't we choose one leader that can take us ahead? We continue to have elections happening in different countries in Africa, and they don't happen at the same time. So I think that one will be solved when we have a single leader. Then lastly,
thank you very much.
Lastly,
thank you very much.
We need also to choose a uniform flag. Just like the United States of America, they have a uniform flag. I think all presidents of Africa should choose a forum where they need to ban all African flags and choose and raise an African flag. I think that is the only way we can have integration.
Thank you very much. It's unfortunate he's not one of my students, but he is a student, so that's fine too. Unfortunately, we don't have the
At the UN, we have been working on the process of South-South cooperation. We have a big conference next week in Argentina, and now the environment has changed. My colleague here mentioned Vietnam. Countries like Vietnam are players now in the world. It's not by accident that President Trump and the North Korean leader meet there. They are economic powers. And how can we work together as a developing South? Because we can learn from each other. There are resources in the South that are easier to access. Of course, as Africa, we need to be careful. It's not charity. But again, I call on the solidarity of developing South countries as they can enhance our agenda of regional integration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Some concluding remarks, Samia, in response to some of the questions.
Yes, I'll try and address the three together. Thank you for your questions and for the enthusiasm, especially from young people. Now, yes, this is, it's a bit of a, let's say, a delicate issue. This question about we are not really free to make economic decisions for ourselves. It is imposed on us because we need to borrow, because we need infrastructure, because we need capital. Sometimes that, no doubt, as we all know, it's no longer a secret. It does come with certain conditions. You must do this and that. But the point I would like us to focus on, it's not this, the world is a global village. We are not saying it's us and them, but we are saying we must work to achieve that unity. Because you know what? The beneficiaries of that unity will not just be Africans, but actually the whole world. Because who doesn't want to deal with markets that are bigger, more powerful, that can absorb even different commodities, different industries, different products, different innovations? A stronger Africa will not only contribute to stability and peace in the whole world, because we will contribute to peace. They will not be competing powers on our land. A stronger Africa will not only contribute to peace and development in Africa, but I think we will contribute to development in the whole world, because humanity, we are all recognizing that we are interdependent. A strong Africa. Do Europeans want our, what is the figure, 9,000 a year, immigrants going, braving the devilish seas to go and find work? No, I'm sure they don't want that. With our traditional humanist principles of egalitarianism, of communalism, of collectivism, what really makes us aspire to this oneness, what makes us hospitable, what makes us smiling in spite of our struggle to survive. So a strong Africa is a strong world. That's the conclusion many of us has come to. And I'm sure you want to all be part of that project that will make this world a more humane and a world that will be worth living in and growing in and developing in. Africa must unite. Africa must unite.
Thank you very much, Samia. Wow. My panelists, you've done a wonderful job, but I would like to ask His Excellency, the President of Uganda, if he would like to, if has anything to add to what you've said.
they agree on the issue of the roads, because they take long that they support road projects. But on the railway, they were total opposite. But we use other means to put them on the legs of the railway, and especially about expanding. Therefore, it is us here that we don't make these outsiders. Although sometimes they make mistakes, and set a bad name for nothing. But for us, listen to them, work with them where we are weak, where we are not go back to their homes, and we do what we think is right. So it's not it is us, it's not the money. They have idea of this kind of stop us from doing our own thing. And then start the community, we invite you. They were not against, they were not pushing, but we invite ourselves. And it is doing well with some difficulties here and there. So we can move on our own, we don't really have, nobody has the capacity to stop us from moving forward. It is just us. The problem is within us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much,
Your Excellency, for underlining those. The idea of the decisions being made by Africans, I think, dovetails very well with the presentations that have been made by Mr. Celestine Monga, by Ambassador Ebare, and Ms. Samia Nkrumah, in terms of the fact that everybody is a leader, and that eventually, and what is important at the core from Mr. Ambassador Ebare, is that the South-South will learn from each other, and they need to learn from each other, and that lessons learned and cooperation, South-South cooperation is very important. And finally, I think that the idea of us being taking a lead is also important in terms of realizing the idea of social justice, which is at the core of African integration and African development moving forward. Thank you very much, panelists. And again, my name is Ananso Zimwanga, a lecturer with students here, and a member of the board of the African Leadership Center. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause, please. Can go and say hello to the president. Photo moment. Okay, there they are. So up next, we'll be having a session. We'll have Ambassador Adonia, who will be moderating a fireside chat. And this fireside chat will be with Mr. Strive Masiwa, who's the CEO of Econet Wireless Group, and President of the Afri-Exim Bank, President Benedito Rama. So I would request that you come forward and take your place on the podium. I'd also like to invite Ambassador, who's got a keynote message from the President of the UN General Assembly. Oh, you'll do it after? Okay, all right. Ambassador, you can take it forward.
Your Excellencies, I have a pleasure to moderate this panel. It's a very, very important panel with very important people who do a lot on for our continent. Next to me is Strive Masiwa, a native of Zimbabwe.